So this is a live demo that we've built of an HR AI agent called the People Plus agent that we've built out in Copilot Studio on the Power Platform. Copilot Studio agents are highly extensible and capable of supporting a multitude of communication channels, including voice, WhatsApp, or many other third-party messaging services. In the background, we also have Dynamics 365 customer service, which we're using as the case and workflow management tool for the HR service desk. Here you can see there's a ticket queue with a list of active and resolved cases for this user, and it will also serve as our analytics portal, leveraging Power BI to visualize usage data and management information across HR being provided as a service. We've also built a mock ESR or e-rostering application to simulate employee staff records and e-rostering systems in the NHS, but your HR or rostering solution would sit here. In this environment, the agent will use those original systems integrated with by, either API or RPA. But in here, we've mocked up a list of users and key information such as their line managers. And on the left, you can also see we've got a section for shifts where we can see shift information corresponding statuses of whether those shifts have been filled or not. As a knowledge source, we've also created a series of HR policies, which we've tried to base on commonly used HR policy information, which the agent will leverage as its knowledge source when answering queries via the various communication channels. Let's look at simply querying your policy information. In this instance, we'll meet John, a healthcare assistant. He's working outside of office hours and needs to know the mileage rate for traveling to an off-site clinic, especially when carrying equipment. So here, John is going to ask the question, and in the background, the agent is looking up the relevant policy documents, signposting to them as well, explaining the information and how to claim. In this instance, John is able to see or get a clear policy-based answer 24/7 without searching lengthy documents or having to wait for someone in the HR team to respond.
John can also ask this question in Welsh or any other language and receive a response. We haven't provided any Welsh language policies. The agent translates them in real time from its knowledge source of English policies. As you can see there, John has asked a question about flexible working in Welsh. I'm just going to translate that using the Teams feature. We can see here he's gotten back a summary of our policy on flexible working.
In scenario 2, we will try to query the agent on a topic that it's not familiar with. So in this scenario, we have Susan, who's a biomedical scientist, creating a patient leaflet, and she wants advice on using inclusive language. So Susan emails the AI for guidance and attaches a copy of the content she's working on as well, and we can submit that to the agent. Email, of course, is not as snappy as Teams communication. Takes a bit longer to be sent and received, but also in the background, the agent will be reading the entire email chain. So if there's a long discussion in here, the agent will look back for any relevant context in previous emails to make sure that that's factored into the overall response. As expected, we've got the response indicating that there's no relevant knowledge article or policy document for this specific topic.
Now let's switch perspective and step into the shoes of one of our HR team members. A case has come into the HR system. It's from Susan, who's asked for advice on inclusive language for a patient leaflet. So as you can see, the email Susan sent us here along with the attachment. Once I've reviewed it, I can reply to her directly from the system, give her all the information that she needs. Once I've sent it, I can hit resolve case. And as you can see, I'm prompted to propose a new knowledge article for this case. So if I tick that box and hit resolve, the AI in the background is going to search through all of the communications that I've had with Susan on this case and see the answer that I've given to her and propose a new knowledge article based on that. If I want to make changes to it, I can do so here. But if I hit proposal, it will go and create a proposal for a knowledge article. Crucially, this is not available to the AI agent yet. Once we land on the proposed knowledge article, you'll see a business process flow on the top here. This prompts us for keywords to make it easier for our AI to find. So I'm going to put in inclusivity, language, and accessibility for this one. Mark it as a query. As I move through that process, I can set it as approved and then publish it. Once this article is published, it then becomes available for our AI agent to query. I'm going to go back into John's shoes. I'm going to ask a very similar question by email. And what I'm expecting here is for the agent to find the newly published knowledge article and give John the correct response based on that. Here we can see this time John has received an email back, but this time it has all of the information that we just provided to Susan through our knowledge article that's been published.
So to highlight here, the agent is only leveraging information contained in approved knowledge base articles and not hallucinating. And the generation of these knowledge base articles can have multi-level approvals, ensuring that a single bad actor cannot maliciously provide incorrect information to the agent. We will look at integration with existing systems to provide and act on information outside of simple policy data. So here we have David, a ward manager, who wants to check for roster gaps before the weekend. And if we take a look in our mock e-rostering system, we can see some resourcing gaps exist for a shift on Saturday. David doesn't need to come into the system to see this. He can just ask the agent, are there any gaps on Trot Ward this weekend? In the background, the AI is going to, first of all, check that David is authorized to view and manage that information before returning any identified gaps, which it does here. And it offers to send the unfilled shift to bank for filling, to which David confirms. And the agent also offers to schedule sending the shift to agency on Friday morning if it is still unfilled. We'll take another look at an example of this kind of capability. Continuing the conversation, David now wants to submit an appraisal for one of his direct reports, and the agent is able to reach into the employee record system and asks which of his direct reports he would like to submit an appraisal for. So he says it's for John, and the agent asks for the appraisal information and whether this does or does not include a pay step review as part of this appraisal. So we can also upload the appraisal information in a Word document, for example, but either way, the agent is going to receive that information and upload it to the employee record system in the background. We're going to look at a scenario involving some sensitive topics. We have an employee, Susan, who's in an uncomfortable situation and is looking for some information on raising a formal grievance. Susan sends the query via Teams, and the agent looks up the information and provides some background information on what the process is for raising a formal grievance. At this point, Susan mentions that she feels that she's been discriminated against in the workplace. And this is quite a sensitive issue.
You can see the HR team member has received a notification to pick up the conversation. When I open that conversation, I can see the full conversation transcript that Susan has had with the AI agent. I can see a summary, an AI-generated summary of the transcript so that I don't need to read through the whole thing. I can see the previous interactions that we've had with Susan, including the email that we had with her earlier, and I can reply to her directly from the chat here in D365. I'm going to say, hey, Susan, and if we go back into Susan's context, you'll see that there's a two-way conversation initiated.
We're going to take a look at the agent in the browser that we showed you earlier. In this instance, imagine this is an intranet page. We're not actually authenticated with this agent at the moment. So John, from our earlier query, wants to know more about the policy on paternity leave and whether he can combine it with his annual leave to secure a bit more time off with his newborn son. The agent responds with information from policies and confirms that this is possible. Naturally, John would like to know how much annual leave he has left to use. At this point, we've crossed the threshold from querying policy data to retrieving personalized information about John's remaining leave balance. So the agent has shared a link to log in via his Microsoft account with all of the protections that come with that, to provide an OTP that he can then provide to the agent to authenticate himself. Once this has been done, the agent has no issue querying the data in the background and providing the information to John. At this point, John wants to confirm that he would like to take his 2-week entitlement to paternity, but add a week time off from his annual leave balance afterwards. So he puts this request to the agent, and the agent does all the work in the background to raise this request.
For this next scenario, we want to show you how the agent can also support outbound communication, not just responding to incoming queries. Here's the situation. The HR team needs to issue a time-sensitive, high-priority message about an upcoming period of severe weather. They don't want to rely on manual drafting, copy-pasting, or remembering the right Teams channel to post into. Instead, a HR team member can simply ask the agent to draft the alert and broadcast it to staff via Teams. We can see that the agent has drafted the message. If I'm happy with that, I can say yes to send it, and here we can see it. In the Copilot Studio Analytics section, we can see a summary of how the agent has been performing. You can see conversation sessions, engagement, satisfaction. We can also see the amount of credits it's used, and along with estimated time and money savings. You can see conversation outcomes. You can see the amount of conversations that have been resolved, escalated, abandoned. You can also see run outcomes along with agent usage. So here we can see our connected and child agents. Go down further, we can see the usage of the knowledge sources that we've given it. So here you'll see some of the policy information that we've given it. We can see tool usage. So whatever tools we've given that agent to use, we can see when they're being used. And also down the bottom, you'll see satisfaction plus comments from the users had about their answers. So this is a Power BI dashboard that comes out of the box with D365 customer service. You can see incoming cases, active cases, cases by status, channel, priority, etc. We're using D365 in this example, but it would be the same no matter what ITSM you use. Any Copilot Studio interactions would be recorded along with your human interactions.